Hey everyone, welcome back to Mr. Brain channel. Today, we're diving into domino puzzles, those tricky little grids where you need to place all the dominoes from the list so that every number is paired correctly. If you've ever stared at a grid like this and thought, where do I even start? Don't worry, you're not alone. That's exactly what we're going to solve together. Here's how it works. You have a grid filled with numbers and a list of dominoes. Each domino has two numbers, like 1, 2 or 3, 5. The goal is to cover the entire grid with dominoes so that every domino from the list is used exactly once, and every number on the grid belongs to one domino. Today we'll start with a smaller, easier grid so you can see the method clearly. On the left side of the screen, you can see the grid of numbers. This is where all the dominoes need to go. On the right, there's a helper list showing every domino from 0, 0 up to 5, 5. Your goal is to place each domino from the list into the grid so that every number is part of exactly one domino. In most grids, the first thing to do is check the corners. They often give you an easy starting point. Usually, a corner has only two possible domino placements, and if the same number appears on both sides of the corner, you can immediately block all other options for that domino. In this puzzle, that trick doesn't apply, so we move on to step 2. Step 2 is to look for pairs of numbers that appear only once in the entire grid. This is a bit of a brute force approach, but sometimes it's the only way to make progress. Once you spot these unique pairs, you can place them confidently, which starts opening up the rest of the puzzle. The first thing I notice are 1, 1 and 5, 5 domino, since each of them appears only once in the grid. We can mark these dominoes and cross them off in the helper list, because they're now placed and no longer available. This numbers 0 and 5s is a great example of what I was talking about with corners, though this isn't a corner, it's an edge. On an edge, one number has 3 possible neighbors instead of 2. If there were another 0 or 5 elsewhere in the grid, we could create a block between them, because we know for sure that this 0 and 5 must go together somewhere in this section of the grid. This placement didn't really give us much progress, but it's worth mentioning as an example. Now, let's continue looking for domino pairs with only one possible placement. The next one I notice is 2, 5 in the corner. This pair also appears only once in the grid, so we can place it confidently. Now the grid really starts to open up. We can see the pair 3, 2. It's blocked on the top and right, so this must be a domino. Once we mark it, we can eliminate all other 3, 2 pairs in the grid, because that domino is now used. You'll also notice the 4, 2 domino sits above the 5, 2 domino, but we still don't know yet whether it will be vertical or horizontal. Even so, we can cross out all other 4, 2 pairs in the grid, since this one is guaranteed to take that spot. Now the grid is starting to fill up really quickly. Because of the blocks we've already created, we can now place the 5, 3 domino and the 2, 2 domino. Placing these lets us eliminate all other 3, 5 pairs in the grid, and that leads directly to the 3, 3 domino in the top right corner. Below the 3, 3 domino, we can see that 0, 1 must go there, though we still don't know yet whether it will be vertical or horizontal. By placing blocks on the other possible 0, 1 positions, we can confidently locate the 1, 3 and 0, 4 dominoes. Between them, the 0, 0 domino is now secured. And up at the top, we forgot earlier to put the 4, 5 domino. At this point, the rest of the grid can be filled in one domino at a time by following the same rules we've been using all along. Each new placement removes options elsewhere, which quickly creates new forced dominoes. There's no guessing involved anymore, we're just repeating the process. Look for a forced pair, place it, cross it off the helper list, and block the remaining possibilities. When you apply these steps consistently, the puzzle essentially finishes itself. With almost the entire grid filled, the remaining dominoes are no longer choices, they're consequences of everything we've already placed. Each open cell has only one possible partner left, so the last few dominoes fall into place automatically. At this stage, the logic is complete, we're just finishing the puzzle. The grid is completely filled, the helper list is empty, and that confirms the puzzle is solved. To quickly summarize the approach, we started by checking corners and edges, then looked for number pairs that appear only once. From there, we used blocking and elimination to create forced dominoes, and once those started appearing, the grid solved itself step by step. If this way of thinking helped you, you can find more puzzles and solving strategies here on Mr. Brain, and also on my other social media platforms. Feel free to like, subscribe, and check out the next puzzle on screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.